I'm ChosenArchitect, and this is Project Architect 2. So today I'm back, and boy is this going to be an interesting episode, because up to this point in Project Architect 2, I have been really focusing on the applied energistics side of things. So we've been dealing with applied energistics, I've been building all my infrastructure with applied energistics, but I've kind of hit a point here in the end game where crafting speed is really important. And so today I technically need to switch over for at least 2 items. I need to switch over to using refined storage in order to craft things insanely fast. Now my goal is to have essentially 2 different tests that go on. I want to test out the fastest and highest tier crafter, which is a single block that is a part of an add-on. And then I also want to try out Reborn storage for refined storage and try to build the near max size for that and see if that is going to be the fastest way. Because ultimately we need to craft these items right here incredibly fast. Because right now it takes about 25 minutes for my maxed out applied energistics system to actually do this, which sounds kind of ridiculous, but that is the case. And that's even with us already doing a ton of the processing work by hand, essentially, by doing these external crafts. So I have 6 million basic processors now built up on all of these, and I also have 15 million silicon over here that has been processing up. All of this linked to my applied energistics system, and I just did a test, and yes, it takes 25 minutes to just craft one of these infinite storage parts. So this, I think, is going to be a good task for refined storage. So that means today we are going to utilize another room. Boop. And here we go. So this is another clean, empty room, and this is called RS Crazy Crafting. And this is where I'm going to be setting up my multi-block and also my base refined storage system. Now, thankfully, we have access to the creative controller. We just need to craft it. So creative controller, actually, we just need refined controller. And we should be able to see the recipe. If we hit U, we can see there is an energizing orb recipe. And so we just plop these items in and we should easily be able to craft a creative version, which is great. It's just basically infinite power for our refined storage system. So now I just need to head into the power section and let's go ahead and craft this. So I'm actually going to hopper into this so we don't fill these with any data, place these all in. And last but not least, that should be it. This requires the 2.1 billion RF, and that should be nearly filled. And just like that, bam, we should now have a controller that is creative. Beautiful. Now the controller is, of course, the least of my worries. What I actually want to fill this room with is a multi-block that can go up to a 16 by 16 in size. So this is gonna be pretty interesting, but I do want to show you before we get to the Reborn storage part, I actually want to craft up the highest tier base crafter from refined storage and kind of test out how fast that is. Now this is from the extra storage mod from refined storage, and it does require a base tier crafter. And I'm going to be doing all of these base crafts, by the way, within applied energistics. And this is kind of funny because it's almost the opposite of what I did when I played through all the mods 9, where I actually used refined storage to automate the applied energistics things. So now all I have to do is make the max tier netherite crafter, which crafts up incredibly fast. And we're also going to need from refined storage a couple of things. We are going to need a crafting grid, which would be kind of nice to have. And we're definitely going to need a pattern grid because we have to build the patterns within refined storage. But I mean, to be fair, this is the setup. So we have a crafter, and then we have a couple of screens like a crafting grid, and we have a pattern terminal. And then on top, we just place our creative controller. And we put our patterns in here. Now I'm also going to want this connected up to my EMC. So I just need to connect this with a interface or an external storage, and we set the priority higher. And now we can see all of our EMCable items inside of our refined storage system. But now for the unfortunate part, I do have to rebuild all of my patterns for all of these. And we've got to make sure that it does pull specifically from the extra disks mod. And I'm going to have to make sure I have withering processors. I need to make sure that these are being exported into some sort of container so that way this system can recognize this. And I still have to use a few external storages to connect some things that I'm actually going to have placed here on the wall. Now, just so my refined storage system has access to all of these drawers where I have all of the stuff sort of ready to go, what I'm going to do is use a max storage upgrade inside of here. And this gives us a range of 536 million blocks, which is kind of ridiculous, but which is really nice though, because this is in the same dimension. So we should be able to just simply now add these to it. And these blocks are now connected to that storage, and we can just tap in to these pre-existing blocks. So now most of this should be able to be connected by simply attaching this. So we'll just put an external storage on here, and there we go. And I will make sure to set this to a higher priority than the interface here, just to make sure it inserts back in. And so now we should be able to see, if we look at refined storage, all of those components inside here. So I've now built out my patterns. I hope this is correct. This is the highest tier, but I do need to put my speed upgrades inside of the netherite crafter to make it as fast as it can possibly go. And now with our speed upgrades in here, we can now request one infinite storage part. And whenever I start this, we will now see all of the components required for this operation. We should have them all. And when I hit start, things should be crafting. Now, with Applied Energistics, we actually can't see it working without having a very special terminal. And that special block is a crafting monitor. So this is going to allow us to monitor our crafting recipes and see where things are going wrong. So as of right now, it says there's one stored, which doesn't make any sense at all. There shouldn't, let's cancel that recipe. We should basically say infinite storage part, start the craft, and there it goes. Okay, so now it's actually doing the craft. Did it already actually craft one? It actually might have, because I have it set. So this lets us kind of see how fast it is actually working though. And we can monitor how fast this single crafter is crafting all of these components. And I will say it's already significantly faster than doing it with Applied Energistics, because essentially it's getting through these almost 1,000 every second, it seems like. So it is processing like 1,000 of these 1K storage parts every second, where with Applied Energistics, it was only doing about 8 to 10 per second. So significantly quicker. And that's going to dwindle down. And then all of these are going to definitely speed up very, very quickly. The main crafting holdup is coming from the 1K and of course the 4K craft. All these other ones take no time at all to do. I mean, it's only a few steps. Like, we're literally going to watch this finish up its craft. And just this one crafter is significantly faster. Wow, that was incredibly fast. And there we go. There's the 1K storage component. However, I don't know where it's going, because it didn't actually finish it. At least it doesn't seem like it. And nor do we have the other components, unless the components just didn't actually craft on the final one, which might be the case. Like, this is, so maybe we do have the extra discs in here. No, wait, where are our items going? I think I know what the problem is. I think I understand here. So I need to make this real quick. And I'm going to actually make an infinite storage block for infinitely storing things. See, it has nowhere to actually send the finished product. So in that case, I mean, I don't even know where our prior one went unless it just deleted it because we didn't have anywhere for it to go. But yeah, I should be able to take the ones we've already crafted, and I'll now make an infinite storage block, place that on top, and now our crafting has somewhere to store it, and it now has one item in it. And that one item, if we go into here, our one item is now the infinite storage part. Wow, that is actually incredibly fast with just this tiny little setup. So now that we've seen how fast that is at crafting this component, well, I think it's now time to see how fast we can actually make this with Reborn storage and kind of determine what's actually faster. Is it faster to build like a max size Reborn storage and let that craft? Or is it faster to just use the simple single block crafter? Now, I will say with the speed of that, it makes it really hard to even want to build this because of how easy that was to set up, where Reborn is not exactly as easy to set up. So Reborn storage, I do have most of the components ready to go. We're going to need like a couple of the heater blocks, and then we need several of the frame blocks. And then we're also going to need these crafting storages, just a couple of them. I think for right now, I want to see how many one is, and then we're definitely going to need quite a few CPUs. Now, the max size you can build this is a 16 by 16. So that, I believe, is the max size that it does say on the Curse Forge page. We're not going to be building a max size because this room is a 15 by 15. So, of course, that would be way too big. But I do want to see just how powerful this is if we, for example, build like a 5 by 5 or even a 7 by 7 could work, right? So that would mean the interior would be a 5 by 5. It says machine is too small. So yeah, 1, 2, 3. And I don't think this has to be set up in exactly a 2 by 2. I'm almost positive I've built it in the past, building it in odd numbers. But I'm going to fill this room here, and you're basically framing this out, right? So this gets framed out. Just like so. And then on the interior is where we're going to fill it with the CPUs and the storage blocks. And then the outside that is not actually the frame itself. Man, this is going to spam the chat. What is not actually the frame itself is where we're going to use those heat conductors. These are essentially going to go on the outside like this. So for right now, just for the test, I'm going to place one crafting storage here, and then the rest of the interior is going to be filled with these CPUs. Now I hope that just one is enough for all the patterns that we're going to be using. But man, this is going to be pretty quick. I at least hope by placing all of these, because these do get kind of expensive the more you place in. But remember, this can go up to a 16 by 16, and that would make it incredibly fast. But at the same time, is it worth it whenever you can get some insane speed as well from just one block? I don't know. It's something that you kind of have to weigh, I guess, when building out your infrastructure. Now, I think the top and bottom can be these framed blocks. We're going to find out once it is finally placed in. And is that going to work? It doesn't seem like it. It says bottom of block position is looking, as this frame is not valid. So maybe the actual top and bottom has to be set up with the heat conductors as well. So yeah, I think the top and bottom have to have this filled in order for it to work. Beautiful. Okay, so there we go. So now the bottom is framed in, and we're about to get the top framed in as well. So these two together, is that going to complete it? And there it is. Okay, multi-block is now complete, and I can now access it. Beautiful. And this is the inventory, apparently. And we do have the ability to switch pages. So just one crafter supports up to 10 pages? That actually doesn't seem right. 40 of 0. So yeah, I have no idea what's going on with that, but I should now be able to take my patterns and place them inside of this storage, right? It doesn't, wait, this should be the inventory. But I can't see my inventory. Wait a minute. Now, kind of glad that happened, just in case you actually experienced this as well. It turns out that I had to relog. So I had to join back in. Apparently, this is a bug that is current in this version right now. But yeah, I logged back out, logged back into the world, and it's now fixed. The interesting part is even why the GUI wasn't working, I was still able to actually access all of this with a pattern manager. So the pattern manager actually displayed all of the pattern slots anyways. But by the way, one crafter block that is inside here gives me all of these slots that you see here. So just a ton of space to work with. So now this just essentially attaches to your refined storage system via a cable. And this is hopefully going to be incredibly fast. This isn't the max size, but I'm kind of interested to see how fast this actually is compared to our just single block crafter. So I guess it's the moment of truth. Let's go ahead and now, with everything connected, start the craft for an infinite storage part. And is this significantly faster? You know what? I think this is just about the same speed. To be fair, this feels like it at this size, it is just about the same speed. But I wonder though, if this was set up to be the max size, with all of those CPUs, I mean, it probably would be just as fast, if not faster. So I don't know. I'm kind of like back and forth. This actually is very quick in itself. But yeah, to me, though, it still feels like it's going about 1,000 a second or so, give or take, just judging by these numbers decreasing here. So now, after kind of expanding this a little bit, I was seeing if I can make it even faster. I mean, it does seem like it is faster. It's just really hard to kind of determine that with all of the speed that's on here. Now, apparently for every CPU, it's like making it 4 times faster than the base crafter or something like that. Whereas we were at like 200 times 200% on our netherite crafter. So yeah, I would have to essentially have more than that for it to be faster, but it does seem very, very quick. I expanded it up all the way to the top here. So we're now at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have a 7 by 12 by 7. And like I said, this can go up to a 16 by 16. So of course, a 16 by 16 would probably craft this in a blink of an eye, I would assume, because already at this, it takes about 30 seconds now. It's really hard to justify using applied energistics for this, because this is significantly faster to craft it this way. It also saves quite a few other steps. Like I was actually debating on making the crafters from RFTools keep these in stock, these two, up into 4K. But looking at this, I mean, this takes, like I said, like 30 seconds now to craft one infinite storage part. So definitely worth, I think, the time investment to get this up and running. It's going to save you a lot of time because you'll be sitting there for hours, even with a like max setup applied energistics system. This is just going to be so much faster. That's one thing that refined storage I have to comment, you know, I have to compliment about. It is just super fast at just crafting things. The processing department, it could use some work. Hopefully with RS2, that'll potentially come out in the future. Hopefully that has a little bit better integration, much like Applied Energistics currently has for that. But yeah, as of right now, just for regular crafting, it can do it so fast. It's not even comparable. Now in 1.20.1, Applied Energistics actually has a add-on mod that I have had my eye on that is pretty nice. That kind of has a multi-block just like you see behind me, but that multi-block allows it to craft things like this incredibly fast. So yeah, then maybe in like 1.20.1, like that's going to be something that will compete with this. But I'm kind of interested, like where's refined storage going to go in the future, especially with like refined storage 2 that will eventually come out. So I'm interested. So now at this point, I should be able to get at least all 16 of the infinite storage parts up and running. We only need 13 more after crafting the ones that we already had. And yeah, I'm glad I set all these processors up because that's 3 million processors that are needed to craft that. And we have everything for it. So it's just going to run. And before we know it, we're going to have all 16 of those. And I'm going to also go ahead and get started on crafting up the buckets as well. I just have to link my iron in, which I've already got my iron linked up to a drawer. I've just got to link it up. So yeah, I have all of the things like kind of exported, and they're being exported into these containers. And so by adding them like that, now my RS system has access to them. Now, while I was waiting, I decided to go ahead and use some frame blocks and make the entrance here to this area look a little bit cooler, and same on the other side. I don't know. I thought the frame blocks look really nice. That's one of the nice parts about frame blocks is you get these slopes and you can, I don't know, just defy Minecraft really. And that's what that allows it to do. But this should be done, and beautiful it is. We now have 16 in our storage. And now it's time to craft up the infinite fluid storage parts. So I did have to make a bucket recipe to be able to do this. And I think we already have, let's see, storage parts. We already have one. So let me toss this in here. And we need 15, because we need 16 of these as well. But these should craft significantly faster. Notice this uses way fewer components to craft 16 of these. Keep that in mind, 16 of these. So this is way, way less on these. So whenever we get those crafted, we should see literally all 16 of these being made in the blink of an eye. Like right now, that's all 16 of them. And we could sit here for, what is it, 30 seconds? I wouldn't even think it'd take longer than 30 seconds. because these are going down incredibly fast. And what's interesting is you can actually see the number that it is crafting going down. It is already now at 5. It's now got 4 left to craft, 3 left to craft. That's so quick. Okay, so I will say, I do think that setting this up is faster than that single block crafter. And there it goes. We're done right now. That was it. And now we have all of them needed to submit. That is actually ridiculous. And we can craft them anytime we want. So if I do want to make infinite storage disks for anything, I now have it for fluids and for this. That is absolutely ridiculous. And I thought this was going to be one of the hardest things to do, but turns out, no, not too bad at all to have that completed. So long as you utilize the immense crafting potential that refined storage combined with Reborn storage has to offer. Now, I was just going to package this away inside of a pocket dimension, but I feel like Applied Energistics has a thing against refined storage going into its dimensions, which, I mean, I get it. I get it. You know, you got the two major storage mods, and they're, you know, you wouldn't want one being stored in the other, would you? Oh no. So refined storage stuff does not get sent with this for whatever reason. That is hilarious that it actually does not get modified or moved in that way. So yeah, I will have to break this down, but I mean, at least the crafter's there, and all we would have to do is connect these two components up if we needed to use this ever again. So now with that done, I'm going to start wrapping some of these other quests up that we already have a lot of the items ready to go for. For example, I have the Nuggets of Experience, I think, ready to go, and I also have the polonium pellets and the plutonium pellets and even the antimatter ready to go as well. And right now I'm working on finishing up the chaotic capacitor one, which is honestly has been quite a challenge, but it's not been a bad challenge. Like, for example, I've been doing it a different way, and so you can see all of the capacitors in here. This one's also filled, so I've been using 2 of these barrels. And the way that I'm doing this now is once that has filled up, I take these and I swap out the barrels that are my input barrels. These now become the output barrels. And whenever these get placed back in, all I have to do is just make sure that these are set to pull, and we have all of the other ingredients ready to go. And this then crafts everything we need. And then the output ends up going into the barrels until these are entirely filled. And notice there's our first chaotic capacitor. So yeah, a lot to sort of craft when doing multiple because of the way that their data, notice how they do not stack. So something that I had to kind of keep in mind when setting this all up. So these are going to be finished before I know it. But now I can go ahead and start working on getting some of these things in. Like also our experience goop has now been finished as well. So I can pop on back in and we can actually take a look by running through here. And beautiful. All of our experience goop, including some leftover, is ready to go. And this is all toggleable and I can turn it on and off. So let's go ahead and submit the goop now. And there we go. That whole chapter is done. And keep in mind, we still have a creative bin to use for this chapter that I have not used yet. But I still think so far out of all of the items that we need to generate here, I'm still feeling like these are going to be the hardest things to craft. So a 256K is probably going to be necessary for that, because I still haven't made this, so this might actually be another hard thing to do. But because of our farm, we do have tons of these blue hearts, so making those shouldn't be too bad. I have thousands of blue hearts, and I mean thousands of blue hearts. There's 89,000 to be exact, and it just keeps rising as we continue. So something to keep in mind. But let's go ahead and get our task screen. And we should now be able to take our task screens and get our pipes and get these hooked up, because we are going to need to transfer some items from our mechanism dimension all the way over here. We'll pop in. Let's glide up for dramatic effect. Beautiful. Got to make sure my magnet is off. This is our antimatter. So I have 2.6 million antimatter pellets that have built up in here. So that's more than enough. So I'll take this, send that to this task read, and we just select antimatter pellets, 500,000 of them, and go ahead and get our upgrade in. Beautiful. And so that is going to start filling up, and that should be filled up before long. And now for the other ones, let's go ahead and get some other task screens. Let's see, there's this one. I need another regular one task screen. Beautiful. And we can get both of these up and running as well, because back here, we have plenty of those, 22,000. And honestly, this has just been running off of the basic setup that we set a while ago. So that's pretty nice that these are just going to work. Like just with our normal setup. Oh, that's a 3x3 task screen. That's a big one. I do not want the 3x3. There we go. So what is this? This is plutonium on this one. Plutonium. And then we have polonium, making sure they're the correct ones. And 16,000 of those need to be sent. We'll take that. That's already going to start sending them over. And then with our pipe upgrades, this will go tremendously fast. Man, all of our work just kind of wrapping into this moment here. Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. A lot of work and automation and knowledge went into completing these tasks. So, oh man, it's just satisfying to watch. There we go. And so now that those are done, we can go back and check our antimatter. And I bet our antimatter is almost finished already. I mean, 500,000 is a lot for this to transfer, and I could use the infinite pipe to send it instantly. So if you watch this, I'm almost positive that by putting the infinite pipe upgrade here, it will go instantaneously and complete. So yeah, if you want to just rush it, that's definitely the fastest way to send them. Now for the next quest, we do have the Archie experience. I just love that. But this is for the nuggets, and we do have those. That's 500,000, and it is actually stored inside of one of our compressed disks here. And we have a lot of that. 5.2 million of them is a lot. And that's because we had automation set up for this. So I'm going to set up this, and let's do experience. The nuggets of experience. And I'm going to use an extended export bus on this. And this allows us to send a lot more items than a regular exporter. So just something to kind of keep in mind. And then we'll drag the experience in, connect the cable, let it ramp up, and that should send experience nuggets out of our storage, or at least it should. There it goes. Yeah, it's got a significant ramp up speed. Oh boy. That sends way more than I thought it was going to be sending per operation. And then, by the way, the operations will end up speeding up as well. Yeah, you can tell exponentially it's getting faster. And there the ramp up speed really starts to hit. I mean, this is going pretty darn quick, sending about 1,000 something items every operation. So, and it just seems like it is getting faster, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, these extended exporters are very, very quick. But while that's working, I should probably get the bottle O Hyper of Enchanting up and running and get that producing as well. That is going to require operations that are done with a thermal machine. Because if you're this far in, please do not try and make it this method. You will spend so much time waiting for the spout, because the spout is one of the slowest operations in Create to have happen. So yeah, if you set up a huge belt line for this, it is going to still be incredibly slow just due to the rate that the spout goes. So that's why I did add the fluid encapsulator here to be able to do this with this mod. I just need to go ahead and add another room just like this, and then we can get that little setup going. Now it's going to be interesting to see how fast this operation actually is. So right here, I'm making a creative tank of hyper experience. We already have one of them, but this is going to be, of course, for a different operation here. And then we need an EMC link for this. Any of them is going to work because we're just going to be sending bottles directly into it, probably from the back. And then we just need an output that is going to send them into a task screen, which will be pretty interesting to just watch the task screen just kind of work. So we'll place the task screen down. And this is going to be bottles of hyper experience. Save the changes, right? Bottles, hyper experience, accept. Beautiful. The fluid encapsulator should go right on top. we are going to go ahead and put the creative upgrade inside, give it power so it has that power. On the back, I'm going to place the EMC link with the bottles for it to pull into it. Also the power, once it has a little bit, we don't need it anymore. And then the configuration is going to be auto input from the top and auto output to the bottom. The input is going to be the top and also the back, because we're going to be pulling bottles in, pulling fluid from also the top. And then the output is going to be for the bottom. So this automation should be one of the simplest. By simply placing this in, it does have to get through its first bottling operation, but then after that, it's just basically ticking. I mean, honestly, this is going to fill up before long. Now, of course, we can't forget the singularities. Oh man, this one is another absolutely ridiculous one that we've done. And by the way, I will mention this again, if you are making these singularities with your matter condenser, do not use water for this because it will tank your TPS, especially if you have your infinity pipe upgrades. Just use some cobblestone inside of your link, the max tier link, and then you can go ahead and use infinity pipe upgrades and use a couple of them. This was actually incredibly fast with just 3 connected to it, and it was more than enough to supply this. And we ended up with 5.6 million in just like a blink of an eye, essentially. So definitely do that. And we need to transfer this, so we need the 1.337 million linked here. It's just, I gotta love that number. But yes, that is going to be linked in there, and then we need to connect this, and then to send it, it happens instantaneously. Oh, you gotta love it. And so we now have our singularities done. Now, along that same line, final stars are also done. I do have 2048, which are now stacked in here. And every time I pull one of these out, by the way, it will request a craft, as you can see right here. So I had it set initially to that number and did end up figuring out how to actually set this up. You just have to drag the one from JEI into the pattern provider here and then set up the same setup that I had. This essentially will keep that always in stock. So once it hits that number, it will no longer request anymore. So yeah, pretty darn cool. And we have all of these. Now, these do not stack. Oh, never mind. They do stack. So I guess we could technically submit them from our inventory. Originally didn't. That's right. These were actually set up to be able to do this. So yeah, we can actually submit what we have to the star section here. And it should leave us with a couple. And there we go. So submit, and voila, it's done. And we actually get the truest final star from this. And what we can do is put this on a pedestal. And this thing definitely deserves to be in the center of this room. Definitely. This is the truest final star. Oh, that is so nice. As a nice little trophy. And of course, this is just a regular item. It just has a nice, unique name. Now, to speed this up even more, definitely utilize your temporal pouch. This makes this insanely fast, so you don't have to build like any massive infrastructure. This is going to get it done. And that's the cool part too about using the creative flux efficiency upgrade, is you can actually tick accelerate this. So if we were to, for example, use Industrial Foregoing Souls, we would also be able to do that. So if you didn't have as much time in here, keep in mind that Souls does exist. Now, I haven't played with that since, I haven't played with that mod since All the Mods 9, where I did use it. In this pack, I didn't really find a tremendous need for it, but if you were speedrunning, it's 100% worth using if you're speedrunning. Like, it would be a necessity to get that up and running, as it makes everything run faster. And look at that, we're already almost done. Like, just one more set, and we're literally going to watch it happen. Right now, there's our experience. So, pretty straightforward on that quest as well. So those are now all done. So now to also finish up one other quest, I came back to the end dimension, and our chaotic capacitors are now all finished. So this is going to be another one that's pretty interesting. We should be able to just carry our pipes directly into a task screen, just like so, and select our chaotic capacitors, and we should be able to just send them directly in. just like so. And it's only 256 of them. So honestly, putting the upgrades in here, not even that necessary. But there they go. All of them being deposited. Beautiful. Exactly what we want. And these, like I said, were kind of a pain to craft. So yeah, it would definitely be between this one for using the bin for, or using it for these, which I honestly would say probably use it for these. But then again, I don't know. It just depends on how good your infrastructure is for actually producing these processors. So if you have a ton of them, then it's probably not going to be that big of a deal. But still, there we go. Chaotic capacitors done. So now there are still a ton of other things to turn in inside of Request, and a fun little adventure to kind of do here for the just because. But outside of that, we've got most of the hard stuff out of the way. Like, no joke. So all of the other stuff has some interesting mechanics that are going to be needed in order to complete. For example, the rainbow one, also the source filling and the hyper, these all require some pretty interesting automation mechanics in order to get those up and running. This is just a crafting task. We should have everything for this. Just have to go over kind of how to downcraft, because you don't want to upcraft from these. And also how we're going to handle making all of these components, because those are kind of extensive to make. And of course, this one's free. It's kind of a joke, honestly, because of the requirement of the prior quest, and even has a joke in here. But now, I hope you did enjoy today's episode, and if you did, be sure to click that subscribe button, and also give this video a huge thumbs up. A lot of work has gone into this series, and I hope you guys have appreciated that. And of course, the best way to show that is by giving this video a thumbs up. Comment down below, what's your thoughts on the refined storage versus AE crafting speed? I would love to hear from you down in the comments below. And of course, with that, it's now time to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that huge thanks is going to go out to Cosmic Dave. Thank you so much, by the way, for your amazing support and choosing to support me over on the Discord by becoming a Discord premium member, and of course, supporting in one of the best ways possible. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and I can't say it enough. Of course, as always, thanks for watching. Bye!